This is the Art Beauty Podcast where we tell the real truth about the fake shit. I'm Amber, and boy, today do we have a fun show for you. I am here with my fabulous co-host, Camille Calvet. She is the founder of Silc Skin, which is silicone patches to keep us youthful and make our skin look better. But we always talk about, we're going to tell the real truth about the fake shit. And I'm super excited because before we start talking about the product today, Camille, you have such a cool background. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started with silicone in general?
Well, I've been a makeup artist for well over 30 years now, specializing in special makeup effects. Like I made a lot of aliens and horror creatures, and I was one of the first female makeup effects artists in the 80s.
Okay.
There's even a book about us called Leading Ladies of Special Effects. Now it's all women in the business, and I'm glad to have kind of led that on.
Wait, so before we go, because I see you have got some awards behind you. So what were some of the movies that maybe we would know you from?
Well, these Emmys were from,
Emmys.
One was from Star Trek.
Amazing.
And the other one was from a miniseries, The Stand, Stephen King's The Stand.
Loved it.
Yes.
Loved it. So what kind of, when you talk about like special effects, what were some of the things that you were doing as a makeup artist to sort of build out these looks? Well,
I always used to have to use silicone, by the way, very early on in making the molds and for this prosthetic. So we had to do everything. We have to sculpt them and make the molds and then fill them. And very early on, I noticed silicone, when you made the molds, your hands were really soft. So that was the first thing. So I really didn't, think about that. And later on, when I was working on Star Trek, and we were doing all of the aliens on Star Trek, we had begun to use silicone appliances instead of foam latex. And I actually noticed that the skin was very soft when we removed it. Pores were filled, no wrinkles, still nothing. I didn't think anything. Then one of my actresses started complaining about chest wrinkles. And I noticed I was getting chest wrinkles as well from sleeping on our side. So I was like, I have to do something about this. So I was looking everywhere, through collagen, this. And I said, I knew I needed something that kept the skin taut from forming the wrinkles at night. And right around that time, I got thyroid cancer. And they gave me, after the surgery, they gave me a piece of silicone, a little tiny piece of silicone to heal the scar.
Right.
And it was kind of an aha moment. I was like, right before my eyes and things I've worked with for years and years, I can use silicone to create that barrier. So I went ahead and made a little, my very first product was the Decollette pad, was for the chest. And it was just, all I wanted was the barrier to keep the skin from forming. But then I started looking into how silicone was treating scars. So essentially I started treating wrinkles as if they were scars. And so I made all my products out of medical grade silicone, and the same ones that are used in healing scars.
So, all right, there's so much to unpack here. Before we get into the benefits of silicone, I want to stick on this because, we're a beauty podcast. We love the beauty. I mean, some of those special effects that you work on take hours, right? For people to sit on. I mean, does it get hot under there? Do people ever panic without like having all of that on their face?
They do.
Yeah.
They actually do. It is extremely hot. Always around this time of year on Star Trek, we would end up going out to Vasquez Rocks in the desert to shoot, and our poor actors with all of that stuff on them, and they'd be passing out. So, and it takes a long time to put it on. I've taken up to 12 hours on one makeup to put on, and then she just shot for like 3 hours. That was a full body suit.
I mean, 12 hours. So that's like more than most of it. Like to me, that's a full day of work. We're talking overtime now. If
Yes,
I have to
yeah,
sit there and be there after 10, we're going into overtime, right? And after 12, it's
yeah.
double time. FYI,
I
old
do
school
have some
TV.
pictures of some of the stuff that I've done.
Oh my gosh, I
That
love.
was on Drag Me to Hell. Um, she was a beautiful lady underneath all of that.
I
But
mean, when you're working with that kind of stuff, is there special precautions? I mean, I know you said that you realized the silicone when you would remove it from the skin was soft or smooth. Are there other things that you need to do when you're working with that kind of special effects makeup that you're like putting on as a base? I mean, I know Halloween's like
yes,
we're still in summer, but Halloween's like right around the corner. So,
well, we always put a barrier down, a barrier cream,
okay.
to save the skin as well. And removing it, we have to be very, very careful because these are actors. You know, I did a year with Tom Cruise on Minority Report and Vanilla Sky, and he was in prosthetics as well.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they were the silicone prosthetics, and you don't want to ruin that face.
No.
So you take very, very good care of it. We have to remove them very carefully. And then we use a special plastic surgery cream called EDAP, which brings the skin back into to looking good. And it's for plastic surgery. So yeah, we take a lot of precautions.
I mean, now we're working with silicone. I know that like silicone, and tell me if I'm wrong here. Silicone doesn't mesh well with other silicones, right? So like I know if you've got like those like little silicone travel tubes and you put your hair products in there with silicone, it's going to like essentially blow up and not blow up, but like the tube will expand and they don't play well
Oh,
nice together.
our thing was silicone doesn't stick to silicone. That's like
Okay.
the only thing that it does. And the way our pads are cured, they make it inherently sticky. So there's no adhesive or anything.
Okay.
But yes, silicone, it's got to be by itself.
Yeah, it's got to be by itself. So
Yes.
you would say what kind of barrier creams were you putting on?
Uh, it's funny because some of them were silicone.
Okay.
Uh, you know, like the primers are silicone, but yeah, some of them were like silicone, like uh, silicone gloves, they're called.
Right.
And yeah, so it's funny. We use silicone a lot.
What a fun career. And I love that sort of what you were doing in your passion and then your circumstance sort of led you to realize have this aha moment of wow, wait a minute, we're on to something here. I know with when I had surgery as well, they gave you silicone tape for the
Mhm.
scars and it's remarkable. So you know, now that thank you for indulging my very like fascination with what goes on movie sets. It's so absolutely cool. Um, so do you know about some of, you know, let's talk now about how silicone you were talking about with scars. Do you know sort of what some of the science is behind why doctors and why, you know, plastic surgeons will recommend silicone tape or adhesive after you get a scar?
Yes, well, I had to find out for myself because it was, I've made these products and like I said, just a barrier. But then when I started looking into the actual science behind why silicone is doing that, and back then this was 2000, and it wasn't really well known why it worked. But the original thing that was it became a barrier, an occlusive barrier. And scars tend to lose a lot of moisture, especially over the first year. So putting silicone over the scar, it increases the hydration and it doesn't let any of that moisture out. So it also works, and this I didn't know yet, because they didn't even know that yet, is that it starts working on reducing the irregular collagen structure that is a scar. So it comes in an improved skin tone and it flattens and softens the scar in the skin.
Okay.
So it's basically hydration is the big one, but the second biggest one is reducing that collagen, the irregular collagen structure. And that's kind of what wrinkles are as well. They're a loss of collagen, and the collagen strands start breaking down.
Now, full disclosure, I have not tried your silicone products before. I'm very fascinated because I am a side sleeper and
Uh-huh.
I wake up now, with the lines in the chest, and nobody likes that.
Yes.
Um, but but I have used other silicone products. I know they work. Do you know, is this something that's like generally like more of a temporary effect? Are there long-term benefits to this?
Well, there are long-term benefits. Yes, it is temporary. I always say, use them for about 2 weeks, and then it starts working on that irregular collagen structure. So you don't have to wear them. You can alternate them, but
Okay.
they do. Our products work overnight, which is amazing. And so the wrinkles that are formed by side sleeping, which so many wrinkles are, even on your face, they work overnight. You'll see the
Right.
difference overnight. And the ones that are formed by expressions, we say it takes about 2 weeks, but you do have to keep it up because they work on muscle memory. So like the old
Okay.
brownies, like the old things. So it works on that as well. So about 2 weeks, and then you can see longer lasting results.
I'm just laughing because I think about, and I'm sure there's so many people out there, men and women, who are going to feel me on this one. But I feel like when I get into my bed with my husband at night, he like feels like he's getting catfished because it's like, you've got the pads here, you've got, your mouth guard in. For a while, I hurt my wrist, and I was going to bed with a wrist guard, and he's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
Um, but we do know that all of these things overnight are really nice. Tell us a little bit. So how do these work? So you've got a chest, because
Yeah,
again,
well,
I haven't tried.
our original was our décolleté pad for
Okay.
the chest, and it's so simple. It's just a silicone pad, 100% medical grade silicone. We have nothing in it, no adhesive, nothing. You have to put it on clean, dry skin
Okay.
because you don't, like what we talked about, the silicone. You don't want anything in there on any product, because then you can get rashes or reactions because it turns it into a transdermal. So you
Right.
want it to work the way it's meant to work, by drawing the moisture out and
Okay.
keeping that area very, very moist. So our décolleté pad, they're super simple. You just peel off the liner. I can even show you how it goes right on. Boom, like that, easy. See through, completely see through. You can hardly see. So yeah, my husband's used to it, but you can barely see them. So
You
even
can
when I
barely
have
see
them,
them. Yeah. I was going to say, you
yeah,
know what? You could actually, if you're just like somebody who's on all day Zoom meetings and you're working from home, you could totally get away with that. You can't tell
yeah.
that
And
you're
a
wearing it.
lot of people, we have a neck pad too. And then in the morning, you just, boom, simply remove it.
Okay. And so how long do these stay good for? And like, what's the care for these types of pads?
They are reusable for up to 30 days.
Okay.
And you can wash them without losing their adhesive quality, because like I said, there is no adhesives in it. You wash them with we have our own cleanser, of course, to wash them with, or anything that doesn't have an emollient in it. And you want a clean rinsing, and you clean your skin with it. You clean your pads once a week to remove the exfoliated skin cells. So it's very little care. It's such a simple and easy product to use.
And I love that they're reusable. What's like the price point on those? I know you've got
Um,
different sets.
Most of our pads, just our regular pads, because we have our Colette pad and we have our Decollette. We also have an unbelievably wonderful iPad.
Okay.
Cassie Randolph from The Bachelor, she loves this, and it made it go crazy. We would sell out all the time because of the iPads, and they use them also for eyeshadow shields. Me being a makeup artist, all the makeup artists use them in the morning to depuff their actors, and also for an eyeshadow shield. So they're getting a little treatment while they're getting their makeup done.
That
So
is such
yeah,
a brilliant tip because, for all of us regular non-actor gals at home, when you're putting your eyeshadow on, if you don't get really close, you can have like that little
yes,
fall,
yeah, the fallout.
the fallout. So wow, so you're gonna get double. I love a tip like that. Not only are you
So
depuffing, not only are you getting that
yes.
hydration, but you're also making sure that you don't look like a raccoon. Love it.
So
Love it.
yes, price points. We'll get
Yeah.
sorry, got away. They're all $34.
Okay. It's very affordable. So a dollar a day.
Yes, yes.
A dollar a
Um,
day. And so we talk about, people are so fascinated in results. What kind of results have you seen? What kind of feedback have you gotten since starting this company?
well, because it works and it works overnight, it's instant gratification. It's people absolutely love that, and the quality of our products. We have very little rashes or reactions unless somebody puts a product underneath. So we're uh, that's a great thing. We do have a lot of competitors out there that have started copying, and they're made in China, and they don't use the curing process we use, which leaves no byproducts. It's a platinum curing process, very expensive, and they kind of outsource it overseas, and they use it's called a peroxide curing process, which leaves all kinds of stuff in it, but it's stearic acid. So they're getting rashes, their pores are being clogged, they're having breakouts. So yes, I've stick to this quality of this. I have them made here in Los Angeles, and where
Amazing.
I can oversee production and make sure it's the highest quality, so I can give my customers.
That's great. And again, so we have them for the décolletage, you have them for
Mhm.
the eyes. Did you say forehead and neck?
We do. We have a forehead patch brow, and that's goes all across your targets your whole forehead, and it comes with these two little multi pieces, which are fabulous on their own because I designed them, and since I designed prosthetics and everything, I'm so used to the face. But these little guys, they can be used. They're originally for crow's feet, but they can be used for nasal labials.
Yeah.
They can be used here if you don't need the whole the little 11, so you don't need the whole forehead. If you don't, you just need it there. But the best thing, they were designed to go right over the lip. So
Yeah.
do the lip, which is very, very hard. It's a muscle that's hard. So these are thicker and they go right over the lips, but they also have the added benefit of your nasolabial. I can always tell which side a person sleeps on. It's like a little parlor trick of mine, because it's deeper on the side that they sleep on most often. So this keeps you from doing that.
So funny. So do you go to bed with like a full face of silicone head and neck?
Sometimes.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, especially if I'm before a convention. Like last night, I did have a pretty full face on.
And
And the
so
neck.
if you, speaking of which, if you've got like a special event coming up
Mhm.
or something like that, is this going to give you instant sort of gratification the next day? Or is it something that you really need to be using for 2 weeks to see results?
It depends on which wrinkles you're going for. Again, the expression lines, if they're made from sleeping, they'll be gone and they will not come back until you sleep on your side again.
Okay.
The expression lines, yeah, you want to, start a little bit in advance, but yes, a lot of people use them just for special events. I get a lot of mothers of brides buying them right before. So they're great for that. And a lot of our actresses, I always have them in my kit because all of a sudden an actress the wardrobe brings them and then they've got a low cut something and we can slap it on and get rid of it. I used to also get rid of sleep lines too. And a real funny story was I was working with Rob Lowe, and he came in, and it was just when they came out on the market, and he came in from a nap, and he has to be on camera in a few minutes, and he's got all of these lines on his face. So I cut up one of the pads really quickly, and I put it on his face, and he said, "Is these your boob pads?" I said, "Yep." I said they work for a number of things.
Right. They work everywhere. But so how long did it take to get rid of that? Because I feel like there's a lot of people at home who've probably had that happen.
Yes, it doesn't take very long to get rid of that because it plumps it up.
Right up.
It'll probably 20 minutes, 10, 20 minutes. But
Well,
and
hallelujah to that, right? I
yes,
mean,
we always say too that sleep on a silk pillowcase. So you don't
Yes.
get those, or satin or silk.
Yes, which I do at night. But listen, you never know if you're traveling somewhere,
Mhm.
great to have. Also
Yes.
easy to take with you when you're traveling. You don't have to have all the creams, lotions, and potions because you're gonna get that same de-wrinkling effect with
Mhm.
these silicone pads. I mean, so are you still doing makeup artistry in Hollywood?
I haven't for a while. I will go back if an actor like wants to come, for me to come in. Like I did Ted 2 when one of our actors from Star Trek, Worf, because I used to do his makeup, and he said he would never put that head on again because he wore it for years and years. The Klingon, he was the head
Right.
Klingon, and he but they talked him into putting it back on. So he said, you got to come in and do this because you have to put it on. So I went in and put it on. So yes, I go back and do it now and again. And I think I want to go back. I want to go back to a Picard because that's shooting right now. I want to kind of, I think it's going to be the last year. So I kind of want to go back and do that.
Right. That's the new spin-off, right?
Yes,
On
yes.
on Netflix or Hulu. I can never keep track.
Yeah.
Amazon, one of them.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. All right. So we're gonna be make sure I'm gonna look for your name in the credits for that for sure. I think this is such a wonderful, I love your story. I love and thank you for sharing this with us. If people want to know more about Silc Skin, where should they go?
Well, you can go to our website, SilcSkin.com, and that tells you all about silicone and how we created it, and it explains all of the different pads and what they're used for.
Amazing. I want to thank you so much. And if you have any questions you want me to pass on to Camille, I'm always happy to do that. You can email me at hello@ArtBeautyPodcast. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Art Beauty Podcast. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday, hopefully with a few less wrinkles.
Thank
Bye.
you.